Hello everybody and welcome back to Nerdly Out Loud Podcast, the official podcast of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all of your news, reviews and exclusive interviews, mostly coming from me. I like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, which is exactly what we're doing here today. Before we get into this interview, I would like you to hit that subscribe button down there corner down there somewhere, and also hit that notification bell and notify all. Do all that good stuff. It will let you know when we drop videos. We've got lots of stuff coming up and I don't want you to miss a damn thing because I freaking love every single one of you. Bit much? Yeah, a bit much. Sorry about that. We have got Peter Stylianou. He is on today to talk about his movie The Lost, a movie which took a little while to get made, that I genuinely got a real kick out of, in a morbid kind of way. Will have heard the name Chris Johnson come up in the past. He is a man, he's a good friend of the show that I really like. Really good actor, standout guy, and he is trying to pave his way in this movie industry. Start off way back, to be honest, like Hooligan Legacy, those kind of movies, Who Needs Enemies, which we will talk about. The moment I found him and I came across him was the movie Black Site, which is a Tom Payton movie. He played Erebus in that, and he's just fantastic in that movie, so good. But yeah, so that's how we kind of got in cahoots with the man, and now he's making The Lost, or he's made The Lost, which is a movie that is very loosely inspired by the Madeleine McCann case. If you know, you'll have heard that name. Everybody's heard that name. I don't think I need to go to the ins and outs of that case. But the movie doesn't really deal with that case in particular. It's more just that is a case that has something to do with this. You know, like there was all the conspiracy theories going around and all the stories. Did the parents do it? What did they do? What didn't they do? All of that. You could go on for days and days. I'm sure there's like 1,000,001 podcasts out there, but it's not really about that side of things. It's more about the conversation that we were having, the people were having. It's the conversation, and moreover, it's the conversation that we tend to talk about but not talk about. So it's the child trafficking angle of that story. Peter has made a fantastic film that deals with all that, talks about all that, and does not shy away from it. I really like this movie, and I want everyone to check out. You can see it on Amazon Prime. I believe in the UK it's having a little bit of trouble, but you can get it pretty much anywhere else, hopefully. I hope that's not speaking out of turn. But yeah, so Peter came on. He's an absolutely fantastic blinding guy. Red Gorilla Productions is his company, and they have produced this. If you want to find out anything else about this movie or any other movie or just Peter in general, then please do go to their Twitter, their Instagram, their Facebook, and see what he's up to, because there's some great stuff out there. The company putting this out is Journeyman Pictures. They are distributing the film as well. It's fantastic, and I'm so glad people are picking up on this, and I'm so glad people want to put this out there, and I'm so glad it's going to get seen, because it needs to be. So we will go into that now in a minute, but again, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, do all of that good stuff. Get yourself on the iTunes, the Stitcher, the Podbean, any other third-party podcatching app, your favourite third-party podcatching app, and give us a review. Give us that 5-star review. I crave. Just give it to me. If you're not going to do that, there is a little thumbs up thing below me, or a thumbs down. I prefer a thumbs up, but hit that, because that's awesome as well. People love seeing all that. Do let anybody know about this show. This is a fantastic interview. It's about an hour long, or maybe a little bit just under. But bear with it, because we get into a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, that interview is coming in a second. But before I do, I need to tell you about Undone Watches. www.undone.com. So we teamed up with these guys because their watches are absolutely fantastic. 100% handcrafted, handmade, custom made to every single individual order. Mine turned up in like 4 days, which is mental. Like right now with everything that's going on in the world. They sent it on Thursday. I got an email saying your watch is on its way. It has been posted and it will be with you soon. Yeah, 4 days later. That was 3. 4 days later, this thing turned up at my door, and then it came in this. I am cheesing because I love this thing. So that's your little box. Watch sits in there, and that one. Little space for straps, because you can get spare straps for these things. I'm just going to take this bad boy off, and I'm going to show you, because I got the Kryptonian Decryptor. It is the Superman watch, because that's what these guys are doing. Like, yeah, you can go on and they have a wider range of watches, like the Arabian watch. They've got like a nice Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is coming up, ladies. But you then can make custom choices, so you can change the straps, like whatever kind of strap you want, you can change the straps. There's many different choices on there. You've got these little buttons here that has the little Undone logo on. This bezel thing with all the Kryptonian language spins. Yeah, so you can change that kind of thing as well. But the Kryptonian Decryptor comes with like Kryptonian language around the outside, and then inside it tells you the alphabet and what the Kryptonian language symbol means. You can turn around, turn around, turn around, and you can decrypt messages. My wife sent me a lovely message the other night, said, decrypt this, and she said, I love you. Smelly bum. Thanks for that. I love this watch. Absolutely love this watch. Since it turned up, I've had it on. It's never come off, apart from right now when I took it off to show you good people. Over 60,000 sold. That, my friends, means they are doing something right. www.undone.com. All the links will be in the description. If you can't be bothered typing it in, it will be there. So go and click it. Let them know we sent you. Put in the comments that you went and had a look. Put in the comments if you bought one. That would be awesome. It would be fantastic if people pick up on these watches, because Undone is the way to go. And hopefully they're going to have more and more DC collaborations, maybe a couple of Marvel collaborations down the line. I don't know. They've got like an Arabian Nights watch right now. The Batman Quantum watch is absolutely sexy. If you look a little bit further down in the video playlist, you will see a video review of the Batman Quantum watch that we have previously done, which is why they hooked up with us. You know, they liked what we did, and they said, you know what, Nerdly Out Loud, Kevin Halden, you deserve a Kryptonian Decryptor. Why don't you get one? And I said, yes, thank you. I will get one. It's not really how the conversation went, but it could have done. So please do check them out. Check out their social media. Give them a like. Give them a follow if you see something on there, because there are some goddamn sexy watches. Like I say, Valentine's Day. Knaj să te faci măruță, ca obosit mâinile, bunele truditele, ca obosit mâinile, bunele truditele, ai căcuță, ai căcuță.
I don't trust the parents.
Why not?
I don't know, something not quite right about them.
Are there any new suspects?
There's a few, yes.
Some things have come to light which involves your sister too.
Liz?
What has she got to do with this?
Have you seen her recently?
No, why?
Do you have a way we can contact her?
Have you spoken to her boyfriend, Rob?
Liz relapsed at the party. It all started when she spoke to that nanny.
Why?
What? I'm the nanny.
Spoken to the nanny?
Do me a favour. Back off.
What you're seeing in his eyes is anger, Danny. Anger that any man will feel for losing a child, even you.
Little word of advice. Don't get too emotionally attached. It's only going to cloud your judgment.
You really want to know what happened?
Where's Olivia?
On Nerdly Out Loud tonight, I am super happy to be joined by director, editor, producer, writer, sings the theme tune, writes the theme tune, Peter Stylianou. The Lost is the movie we're going to be talking about tonight. It's a movie that I watched a little while back, and I have been following its progress throughout production, right the way through to release. How are you, Peter?
I'm good. Thanks for doing this.
So this is an interesting one for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one for me as well. It's a niche film. Let's put it that way. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I said in the review that I wrote, I'll probably not be watching it again for a little while, but that was the same with Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners. I watched that once when it came out, and I've never watched it again. Not because it's a bad movie;
Yeah.
it's a bloody great movie. But I have 3 daughters, so I don't need to be watching it anytime soon.
Yeah. I don't have any kids, so it's easy for me to write this shit. So.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
No, I get what you're saying. Definitely, a lot of people say that. Like, I didn't intend to make a film that was hard for people to watch, but
No.
to be honest, like, I tried to make it as smooth as possible, if that makes sense. Like, I tried to make it an easy watch while you're watching a hard subject.
Yeah.
So I think it becomes quite a pleasurable experience by the end, even though it's horrible subject matter. But yeah, I get what you're saying. To be honest, I've watched it 1,000 times. I don't want to watch it again. I'm sick of it. No, I'm joking. I still enjoy. I don't know. I enjoy the aesthetics of it. I do enjoy. I watch it on that level more than anything now, because I think when you're a director and an editor, you stop watching it for story and you start watching it as an editor. And so I think that's how I see it. So I forget that, yeah, it's hard to watch for most people, especially people who have kids. Yeah, I get you. Like Prisoners, like I love that film, but just as you said it, I realized I've never watched it again.
Yeah.
Even though it's a great film, which is strange. So yeah, there's a reason you don't want to watch these films again. It's hard. It's hard to bear.
Now, I wasn't long after having, I think it was my second child. It wasn't long after, and me and the wife sat down for a nice romantic night to watch Prisoners, thinking it's Hugh Jackman, it's Jake Gyllenhaal, we're gonna have fun. No.
It's such a hard line to toe making films like this. I tell you, they did it perfectly. I think I maybe crossed the line a little bit, and I did it on purpose because at this level I'm allowed to. I think when you're in Hollywood and you've got that kind of budget, you're kind of restricted in what you can do. So I thought, you know what, I'm only going to be at this level once, where I've got like absolute freedom to talk about anything I want. So you know what, I'll cross the line a little bit. Whether that was a good idea, I don't know. But you know, it's interesting. Will I be doing it again? I'm not sure, but it's definitely something I had to do. You know, I know I'm never going to get that opportunity again, which is probably the cool thing about this film. It doesn't cross the line completely, like films like a Serbian film. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And that goes way over the line. You know, that
Too far,
it doesn't even have a line. You know, it's like, so I didn't want to cross the line like that, but toe the line and just hop to one side, you know?
The moments that you kind of do cross over the line a little bit is the rewarding moment of the movie. For me, it's kind of like, oh yeah, they got theirs, or he got his, or that's awesome, thank you.
Yeah. For me, like, I like it when a film reveals something to me that either other filmmakers aren't willing to show me.
Yeah.
Or like something that is just new to me that I've never known like existed. And that to me always gives me a sense of like, this is more than just entertainment. I'm
Absolutely
kind of learning something here, something new. Even if I don't want to look at it, I'm questioning myself, does this exist, you know? And so I wanted to push the audience in that way, and I like to do that. But I think with this subject matter, it's so tricky. But like I said, I did it because I'm at this level, and I just know I'll never be able to do it again.
But we're going to dig into The Lost in a quick hot minute. But first of all, this is your first time on the show, and this is my first time properly speaking to you. I would like to get a little bit of background in how you kind of got into the filmmaking industry. And I guess the more important question is, why would you do it?
I guess, like, you know, the cliche, I've always been interested in film. You know, since I was a kid, it was always the focal point. I've always been artistic. I think I started, like, you know, around 20 years old. I thought, what am I going to go to uni to study? I thought, am I going to go film school? And I thought, what's the point in going film school when I can kind of learn that on my own? and study something else that could be a good backdrop. Maybe that wasn't a great idea, but sort of, I just thought, yeah, I'm going to teach myself screenwriting because you don't need any money for that. I thought I'll teach myself screenwriting for 10, 15 years. And then, you know, we'll take up the filmmaking later on, but at least I got that core essential like of filmmaking set. So that's what I did. Since 20 years old, I just studied screenwriting, and I didn't really think about directing. I just thought about getting the screenplays produced somehow, maybe as a producer.
Nice.
But then around 27, I think 26, 27, all this technology started to just become super cheap. It was like, and my mate just said to me, yeah, I'm shooting music videos on DSLRs. I was like, what? And I thought, wait, if you could shoot a music video on you could shoot a feature film. So why am I shooting my own scripts? And then it was just like a light bulb moment. And I think every single person around that time had that same light bulb moment. Wait, I can shoot my own script with a DSLR. So, yeah, that was it. I just thought I'm going to learn everything I can about filmmaking, cameras, DSLRs. I want to be able to shoot my own scripts. And I already had a bit of editing experience from college and whatnot. So yeah, I just kind of like, it's all been revolving around screenwriting more than anything. Like most people get into it for cameras. Most people get into it for cinematography. I got into it for screenwriting. Now, whether I'm going to end up as a screenwriter, I don't know, but it's certainly less stressful. Let's put it that way. You know, sitting on your own and writing a script is like heaven. You know, cup of tea, 6 months. If you're getting paid for that, sweet. Don't get me wrong, I love filmmaking. I think I've caught the buzz of filmmaking now, though. It's like, I think I need that adrenaline rush. So, yeah, I sort of started making short films on DSLR. But I just didn't want to go down a short film route with film festivals and win awards and this, that, and the other. I'm very practical. I need something that's going to generate income, you know, something that's sellable. So I thought, you know what, let's just dive in the deep end and make a feature film for nothing. So we made Who Needs Enemies for like $6,000. I sort of rallied a few people around me to kick in the money with promises that it was going to be the next Pulp Fiction and you're going to make millions and whatnot. And they bought it. But it was good. It was a good film. It went way further than we thought it would. We got to know Chris Johnson on that set as well. He was sort of just breaking into the industry as an actor. And like the producer came up to me and said, yeah, this guy's amazing. You need to get him on board. And he was kind of the point where we said, this might actually be half decent. So, you know, let's go with this, man. Let's do it. So I shot that. And then since then, just been like trying to raise extra funds for another film. Here we are with The Lost, the second feature film, which I think is definitely better quality. You know, we shot Who Needs Enemies like guerrilla style. You know, literally skeleton crew, 4 of us. And so yeah, I think since then I've really sort of caught the bug for directing. It's kind of taken over my love of screenwriting, and I love being on sets. I love rallying the troops. I love the people you meet on sets. And something I never realized about myself is, you know, I've got leadership qualities, which I didn't have any clue that I did. I thought I was just some introverted screenwriter. But I love being on set, and I love being a sort of leader and leading the way to this amazing finale that everybody sort of like ends up loving each other, and it becomes like a love it. It's just great.
You're right, because I've seen Who Needs Enemies as well, and the difference in quality between that movie and this movie, you know, they're both good movies in their own right, but The Lost, it looks nicer. It's a bit more polished. You've definitely come on quite a huge gap between the two films, so that's really cool to see. When it comes to trying to fund these movies and get going, how did you get The Lost off the ground, budget wise?
It was off the back of Who Needs Enemies, you know, like again, we kind of just rallied the rich people and we said to them, listen, you ain't going to lose much, just kick in on this project, and you know, we're probably going to make a profit because the budget's so low and the quality is so high. Because like, you know, Who Needs Enemies, we made it on $6,000 and it passed quality control tests to go on theatrical release. You know, it was released in like 20 screens across the
Oh, so that
UK.
was shown in the cinema as well.
Yeah, it was on
Nice.
TV. I mean, for £6 that's ridiculous. People make short movies on that. So like that was our selling point. So people said, all right, these guys know what they're doing. Red Gorilla Films know how to make a film. I think the next step up is obviously pools of investors and public funding and whatnot. But at this level, yeah, you can only just go around kicking it to friends, family, anyone you can that has a bit of money and just wants to kind of get involved in the film industry. You know, they're sitting behind a desk and they see the same thing day in, day out. Then all of a sudden you get this wacky filmmaker that walks in the room and says, listen, we're going to make a great film and you're going to be able to like see your name as an exec producer, and you capture their imagination. They see that thing, I think, in you that they had when they were young. If I ever did make it and I made a lot of money, you know, it is about helping people up who are trying to get to that level. And that's why they're called angels, you know, angel investors. They are like angels, they help you. So they're out there. You'll usually find them through word of mouth. You can't just kick it like to somebody you don't know and say, please give me money at this level. You know, you need recommendations, you need people who know you, people who came to see your last film. But you do need a track record. You know, you can't just come out of the blue. Like I said, Who Needs Enemies was more friends and family. This was the next level. It was friends of friends or family of friends, you know. And then after that, who knows? Who knows where we go to get money from the next people? I'm not going to give anyone names though. They're my investors. I'm keeping them to myself.
It sounds cool that that's sort of the indie way of making movies nowadays, and then obviously you start climbing and climbing and climbing.
If it's your time, it's your time. If you've made something good, if you've written a good script, I'm a big believer in like, not law of attraction because that sounds cheesy, but if you've got a good piece of work, something's going to come along that's going to get it made.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm a big believer of that. So it all begins with the work you're doing and how much you believe in it. Because let me tell you something, people that do have money and people who have made it in life, they can look in your eyes and see if you're serious or not. You know, they can see if you're just bullshitting them. But if they see you're driven, they see you believe in what you're doing, you believe, like, they'll invest in you, which is great. So, you know, my advice is get that core thing down, you know, and I always say it's the screenplay. If you get your screenplay down, you're confident about your screenplay, you'll get your investment.
How do you then go around getting your cast, and how did you go around casting for this movie? And one question I do want to ask is where you found Dana Rogers as Mariam, because she is an absolute revelation in this movie. So how did you cast your ensemble for this?
Well, I had a casting director called Jess Gardner. She just kind of put an ad on Spotlight, and most of the people came through there. Obviously, some people I already knew from previous films and networking, but mostly through Jess and Spotlight. Yeah, I mean, I got a few other people through other online agencies, but Dana Rogers came through Spotlight. Yeah, she applied for the role, and I couldn't quite believe it. I was like, wow, you know, she's actually quite well known in like Romania. Like, she likes the script, really. But then I saw why she liked it, because it's a rare role, you know, to get a British film and to get that kind of role as a Romanian nanny. You know, it's kind of like, wow, you know, I've got to take this. I could see why someone would take it. And she was just, she knew what we were. She knew we were no budget, low budget. I think she just needed to fill the time between her projects. And I was just amazed. She flew over here, you know, like we didn't have to like pay for anything. She just said, I'm coming. I mean, we obviously paid for her accommodation, but she just flew over here, stayed, done the job like a true professional. She was amazing, yeah. Like, I was like, she's one of them actors where you don't have to give them any notes. It's like they just act and you feel like they should give you notes or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was that calm in front of camera and she just delivered it like a pro. I was just like, I don't have to ask her anything. She just does what she does naturally, you know, it's natural.
Yeah, she really impressed me, and obviously Terry Dwyer in there as well. I've seen her cropping up in a few features lately as well. It was cool to see her in here as well, doing again something very different to what I would expect of Terry Dwyer.
Yeah, she came through Chris Johnson. They knew each other from Hooligan Legacy.
All right, yeah.
So they worked with each other on that, and he said, you know, she'd be great for this role. Straight away, I just knew. I was like, yeah, she's got it.
Hmm.
You know, that was it. Because I know she's like a really strong actress. She's really well known, but I saw like she's also got her own producing ambitions.
Yeah.
And I just thought that would be invaluable, you know, to have that on set, because we're such a low production, we're such a small production. I just thought it's just she comes on board as a producer and as an actress. I thought, wow, you know, her, Dana Rogos, we're taking off. It's great. We hope to work with Terry again. She's amazing. If not as an actress, as a producer, you know, I think she's going to be a great producer.
Yeah, she's definitely making waves, which is awesome to see. The movie, we've not really spoken about what it is or what it's about, but was there, we will get into that obviously, but was there kind of any trepidation from their part dealing with this kind of story, or was it just a case of, you know what, this is super interesting, nobody's really talking about it, let's get in and do it?
I think the ones that you see in the film are the ones who were well up for it. But the castings, you know, the casting, the auditions and everything, there were people that had issues, and hence why they're not in the film. So, I mean, you could just either sense it, or they would bring it up and have an issue with it, and I had producers as well that I was going to get on board this film that also had issues with the subject matter and pulled out, you know? So, yeah, definitely. A lot of people were scared of it. The thing with me is, like, if I'm scared of something, I have to do it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
If it scares people, I want to do it and see where we go with this, you know? So there's not a lot of people like that, I don't think. Well, there are, but that I was able to work with. The actors, I think, even though they knew the subject matter, they just knew it was a good script. And I think when you're an actor, I mean, it's not the greatest script I've ever written, but it is pretty tight. And I did take pride in it. It was nice. Like, and they read it, and I think they knew that, you know, there's not many characters they're gonna get like to play like that, you know, in that kind of situation. Because, like I said, who's gonna talk about this subject matter? You know, it's a rare experience. So I think, like, Dana Rogos, Chris Johnson, they all knew, like, when am I ever going to play a detective questioning parents, like, you know, some reconstruction of the Maddie McCann case, you know, or something like that. So, yeah, it's like, it definitely, I think, piqued their interest more than anything. But I think it was more on the heads of department side where people were a little bit wary.
So basically, for viewers and listeners on YouTube or the podcast, the movie is loosely inspired by the Madeleine McCann case and everything that transpired there, but it's telling it from a couple of different angles that a lot of people talked about when it happened, because it did capture everyone's imaginations around the world. I mean, everybody was talking about it, let's be honest. But one of the things that struck me while watching The Lost was the case that, yeah, okay, there's been the odd documentary or the odd puff piece on the news or whatever, but nobody's really ever, as far as I can tell, in a feature movie went for it the way that you guys have, with the intensity of it and I mean, there are some scenes that are particularly hard to watch in this, but you absolutely have to show it. And was that one of the reasons you kind of thought to yourself, okay, it's scaring people, I want to make it, but was it also a case of, like, nobody else is doing it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I like to look at things that a lot of people won't. I'm not that squeamish. Like, I have an emotional reaction to things, but I can be very objective just to get the information out. I can say, this is what's happening in the world. Now, whether you want to look at it or not, that's your choice. I'm going to present it. And I'm kind of like that. And the Maddie McCann case thing is I wouldn't say it's based on it or even loosely based on it. It's more based on, like you said, the public reaction to it. It's like you have so many different factions. You got people that discuss child trafficking and think they're child traffickers. You got people who thought they accidentally killed their daughter. You got people who just would never consider such a thing, and it was a genuine sort of kidnapping, and like it just caused, like, to this day, people, like, it will never get solved. It's an unsolvable thing.
Absolutely.
And I thought, I don't want to make a microcosm of that, you know, that unsolvable thing. I want people to just be definite. I want the audience to be like split, just like they are in real life. Say, oh yeah, it was this person. No, it weren't. It was that person. It was obviously. And I love them kind of films that challenge you to do that and doesn't give you a definitive answer, just makes you find where you lie within these things, you know, where can your imagination go? That's essentially what it's about, how our imaginations can run wild. I don't know if that was the question you asked, but I just went on a tangent.
So on that, talking about tangents and whatnot, I'm going to put you on the spot and I'm going to ask you, where do you lie on that whole thing? What are your sort of the McCann case? What are your sort of opinions on it? Because I am a huge conspiracy nut, and I've had all these conversations you're talking about with just about everyone. So I just wondered where you maybe lie.
Well, like in my early 20s, late 20s, I was definitely like, oh, the parents definitely did it. You know, they're definitely involved, and it was this, that, and the other. I was like major conspiracy guy. You know, like, then as you get older, you know, you start to reel it in a bit. And I think now I am where the film is. I'm like, I have no idea, you know. And I'm at a position in my life where I'm like, I just want information without making judgments, you know. Let's just look at the information. And what bothers me is when people don't look at the information. If you make a judgment based on one-sided information. So let's present all the information and have a look at it. Like, so yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was definitely like, they did it, but so was most people. And it was mainly because, you know, maybe Jerry McCann weren't the most likable guy on camera. And like, I think Gone Girl done a great job at showing that with the Ben Affleck character.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, like they done it. Fincher done it perfectly. Like, he's not a likable guy, so everyone thought he'd done it. We, the audience, thought he'd done it.
Yeah.
Because he's not likable. But then halfway through the movie, you're like, oh, damn. And you start to like him because you feel like, even though he's not the nicest guy, he isn't. You start to kind of like warm to him. And that is what the public is like, unfortunately. Like, so you start to question, is he just one of those people who aren't very likable and we've all judged just based on his interview techniques? Or But so I've reeled it in as I've got older. I don't know all the details though. There's people out there that are experts on this subject. I know it very, I'm what they call a casual. I think there's, especially with TV and things like that, there's truth in any way you look. And I think that's one of the things I want to put forward in this film.
Definitely.
Wherever you want to look for truth, you'll find it. If you want them to be innocent, you'll find the truth. If you want them to be guilty, you'll find the truth. Everyone has truths, you know? Maybe they're both right. Yeah, maybe both sides of the story's right with this case. Maybe they were somehow involved, but maybe it wasn't as extreme as we think. Maybe something did happen. They had to cover something. But maybe it wasn't what we're thinking they covered. So we've picked up on it and think, you know, they've done something. As you see, I'm dodging the question big time.
I'm sitting here thinking, just answer the question, man.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, the beauty about this podcast is I'm asking the questions, so I don't have to say anything. No, I mean, my view, like I say, I'm a conspiracy nut. I've read a lot about the case, and I've read a lot of different angles, people saying what they want, and it all comes down to what you said earlier about it basically being an unsolvable case. I'm kind of at the point where it's like, you know what? Absolutely anything could have happened, and don't really, I'm no closer to having an opinion than I was the day it happened. You know, it's a bit of a mad one, but I think that's because, as you said before, I spiraled. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm reading this, I'm reading that, I'm watching this, I'm watching that. But then it was just kind of like, you know what? At the end of the day, and I don't want to sound harsh or anything, but does it really matter? Because we're never going to find out.
That is exactly what I want to put across in this film. Like, I want to make a film where I'm not going to give away the ending, but
Mhm.
you, wherever you want to find truth, you'll find it, you know. And I want people to maybe, yeah, look back at the film and be like, well, where is who done what, you know, or at least by the end have a sense of who you believe done something, but you're not definite, because that's life, you know. These cases don't get solved. How often do we ever hear a missing child case come forward and, oh, it's been solved? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's why the title's fitting, The Lost, because
Yeah.
there's so many that are lost, and Maddie McCann's one of them. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's an unsolvable thing. So sad, but it happens.
And with your movie The Lost as well, that's what I love about the sort of the narrative you've taken, where you kind of you have these sort of present day Chris Johnson's trying to sort of figure out what's happening, but you also have the sort of, what do they call it, like an untrustworthy narrator kind of thing, telling you, like, she gives her version of events or he gives his version of events, and then you get somebody else's version of events, and you kind of sit there going, well, any of these are actually quite plausible. That's kind of what I loved about The Lost as well.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about the thing I liked about it is, you know, usually with these kind of detective films, the person tells the story, but with this, it just visually shows the story. It will show you one version, then it visually shows you another. And it's trying to replicate your imagination, because that's how we are. We imagine these scenarios. So that's kind of where I went down. Like, you know, I was thinking about in editing, doing it like, you know, adding some sort of dreamscape look to those flashbacks and whatnot. But nah, just keep it real. And, you know, it's meant to reflect that kind of the audience's point of view. Yeah, there's a narrator's eye that runs through the entire thing for sure. And a lot of people didn't get that. But yeah, some people do, which is cool.
You filmed it in, or you shot it in about 7 or 8 days, I'm told. What?
9 days, yeah,
9 days, which is absolutely incredible to be shooting a feature in 9 days. It's
insane. It's not even.
It's
I never want to do it again. It was the dumbest decision I've ever made in my life.
It is a bit bad, to be fair. It's not one that you come across all that often. But what kind of challenges does that throw up, trying to shoot a movie in that kind of time?
It weren't just a challenge. I almost died. I'm telling you, I almost died. Thought I was gonna die. It was like, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people would say, "No, it's not that hard," but you have to understand, like, I didn't have too many head of department helpers. I was kind of doing a lot of the production, managing, the scheduling. You know, I was the line producer, so I had to pay everything. You know, after shooting a scene, I'd run upstairs on my laptop and start paying for like takeaway or something. And I just took, you know, that saying, biting off too much, like, you know, more than you can chew. Like, I bit off way too much, and it was coming drooling down my face, and people could see it. But I think it's possible if you do it with the right amount of people behind you. So as a director, you can focus on the directing. So that aside, if we're just talking about time restraint, it's just ridiculous. Don't do it. That's all I would say. Don't do it. Especially if you're gonna, like, such a big cast, an ensemble cast with, you know, there was one day where we had like 14 supporting artists in. It's just stupid. I shouldn't have done it. I should have like scheduled it out, you know, spread it out. But I don't know, like we only had limited time in the house, so we had a limited budget. We had to kind of get it done. They were already a bit wary about having a whole film crew in their house, you know, so I knew we had to get it done once and quick. So it was actually 10 days. I think we gave ourselves one break off you know, one day off in between. I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday or something, and then we just continued. But what made it work was the people I cast,
Yeah.
you know, and the crew I hired beforehand. It was like I just knew it was going to be like this, so I hired people that I knew could think for themselves and wouldn't just come and be a diva or anything. They would come and participate. They would come and say, all right, we haven't got time for rehearsals, I'll have my lines ready, you know. And people with that certain mindset, I think I hired them, and they all come in and kind of just took care of themselves. It was like an organic thing, like everyone just kind of, and I was just hoping there weren't going to be too many issues, and there wasn't. Damn near impossible is what I'm saying. It's not a good idea unless you're shooting a really small film, like 2 actors, 3 actors, the same 3 actors in the same locations. And yeah, don't do it with an ensemble cast. That's just ridiculous.
I love the honesty there. I love the honesty, because I was kind of expecting when I asked you, you were going to be, oh yeah, we planned for 9 days, we did 9 days, bish bash bosh, film's out.
Do you know what? Like, there were times where I was like, I'm done here. I can't do this, because it was like I had to like schedule the next day. Like, we had scheduling issues. Everything was moving quickly, and there was people that couldn't do things, people that couldn't do things. So I had to rearrange the schedule. So I was getting like 4 hours sleep a night, because when I would get back from shooting, I was also the DIT, so I had to like data dump, I had to check everything, and then I had to do the scheduling. And by the time I went to sleep, I had to wake up like all in a panic. Shit, I need to get the next thing done. So I was basically running on 4 hours sleep. So it was ridiculous. But there was, you know, we had a great first AD, Joe Stringer. He was kind of just young, fresh, everything I wasn't. He was just young and fresh, and just rallied the troops. You know, he was like, he was really like, he basically had the energy that I needed. And I could just lay back and be like, yeah, I need this guy to do that. He would just go and sort it out. And he thinks for himself as well. He kind of carried the shoot. If it weren't for him, we would have been screwed, if I'm being honest. But I can say that about everyone else as well. You know, everyone sort of pulled their weight. I'll be honest, like, I got rid of the first AD we had planned just before it, because I knew he weren't going to make it. It was like going to war. And when you know there's certain people you just know ain't going to have your back. And a lot of people didn't understand that. It's about, for me, when you set up a project like this, it's about who you work with and who you cast. So if you get the right people, you're going to make it. So beforehand, I had to let certain people go, because I knew that either their heart wasn't there or their head wasn't there, and we're not going to make it, you know. And so there was some first ADs who were a little bit chilled. Like, they're not bad, they're obviously great at what they do. They were chilled. I thought, this ain't a chilled set, this is going to be madness. I need someone who's going to be up and going to be ready to go. So it was about picking the right people, and then it kind of hoping it took care of itself. That was the key.
On the flip side to that, though, you know, obviously there was some challenges and there was some negatives, but it must be cool as hell when you do come to the end of each day and you're like, we got that, we did that. Or you do a scene that I'm going to be asking about in a couple of minutes. You get a scene like that where it's like it was smashed, or you're doing your editing and all that and your scenes are coming together. So there must be some big positives to you know, shooting that way as well.
You know,
maybe
it's
not
funny you say that. It's funny you say that, because one of the most enjoyable times was actually data dumping. It was getting that card, sticking it in, and being like, yeah, you know, and just pulling that folder over and being like, done. And that was one of the most pleasurable experiences I had on at the end of each day. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a satisfaction in it, because at the start of the day, you're just thinking, it's impossible to shoot 13 scenes today. It's not going to happen. We're going to trip up somewhere. And definitely throughout the day, like, there's so many scenes we had to cut from the script because we weren't going to make it. So, you know, we had to make sacrifices and compromises. But by the end of the day, it is like, wow, we made it. And especially, like you say, if we got a good scene, it's like, wow, You know, like we've just shot 13 scenes in a day and managed to bag 2 that are gold. You know, that's quite a cool feeling. Definitely there was satisfaction, but it was short-lived because then the anxiety would rise back up and I would think, shit, now we got to do it all again. It was like literally like 20 minutes of enjoyment and then back to full-blown panic attacks.
I have had the pleasure through doing these podcasts of being on a couple of movie sets. It's a lot of standing around. It's a lot of setting up, and you do kind of just so to knock out 13 scenes in a day, 9 days consecutive. It's my hat is off to you, my friend, because that is not an easy task.
But when you've got a cinematographer, you've got, you know, gaffers, you've got lighting technicians, you know, you've got production designers, and they're all doing their thing. You know, you have to give them the time to work their magic. That's why you've hired them. So every setup, it isn't just, yeah, let's point over there and shoot. It's literally like, right, that's the shot. Do your thing. I'll come back in half an hour when you're all set up, you know? So you have to wait for every single setup and every single scene. And the only way we made it happen is we set the schedule out. So say we had a shot in the kitchen and there was one lighting setup, like it was a daylight scene. We would try and shoot all kitchen scenes within that day. So we'd formate all the scripts, and luckily the actors would come in even if they had like one little scene and then go again, just so we can do that. And it allowed us to just get that one lighting set up, and then we didn't have to change anything. We just shoot, maybe do a few tweaks here and there. And that was the only way I think we got through it. And that it's not the greatest idea because a lot of people can lose continuity and a lot of actors can be like, right, where am I? But I think if you're doing something in that short space of time, you got to take your setups into consideration for sure.
I wanted to know, is this a character choice or anything? Why is Chris constantly eating donuts in that kitchen? He just keeps eating. Was this a character thing that...
To be honest, like, I wanted Chris to be the comic relief as well. Like, it's such a tense film, and I didn't want it to become... I wanted him to be almost like off the wall a little bit, you know, like off the cuff. And he totally... There's this tone of what's going on, which is very serious. And then you got this guy who's totally detached from it. And he's showing you he's detached from it, even by trying to be funny or being cocky. I guess it comes from like Columbo, you know? Columbo was always a bit like that. He would walk into a murder scene and he would like say something weird just to throw you off and see your reaction to it. And I thought, you know what? I love that kind of detective. And I thought, yeah, let's make him a little bit of a genius. Like he's a little bit odd and he's got his own odd techniques. Like antagonizing the parents with eating their donuts in their face and laughing about this very serious subject matter. Some people didn't like it, but I do think there are detectives out there that are like that.
Oh, there has to be. There has to be.
Also, in terms of the film, I'm not saying I wanted it to be a black comedy, but I wanted Chris Johnson and I wanted him to just give the audience a slight relief at times. When there's very serious situations, just let them have a giggle at something he's saying that's ridiculous or stupid, you know, just to get that out of them. And that was great because I did sit with certain audience members and they laughed at those key moments. I was like, it's cool to hear them laugh at that. It just alleviates a bit of this tension. Maybe that's not a great thing, but I'm a bit of a people pleaser. Like I want to please people, you know? So at the end of the day, it's a serious subject, but I still want them to enjoy it. And I thought with that touch of humor in the detective, it would just pull them out of that just a tad. And I thought, yeah, I didn't want to make a very dark, depressing. It's depressing enough. So, yeah.
You do have two very clear aesthetics throughout the movie. When obviously when you're in the present day with the detectives and everything, it's a little bit darker, and then when you kind of go to the storytelling of what happened that night, it's a little bit more polished. And I think it really lends itself, and I do want to tip my cap to your DOP, because shooting this in 9 days and it looking as good as it does is fantastic. One scene that I genuinely love, and it ties into Chris's character as well, was, I don't want to do spoilers, but towards the end of the movie, he gets a phone call from his wife, And then from there, the next 5-10 minutes, I had the biggest lump in my throat. I was absolutely destroyed for 5 to 10 minutes. And when he was in the car, the editing, the music, the cinematography, everything there is just absolutely fantastic. How long have you been working with this DOP, or did he just come on for this movie?
Gary Rogers, he's just on this movie, yeah. Like, I saw his work on, I think it was The Guard of Auschwitz. Yeah, and I liked his lighting. I just thought, yeah, that's nice lighting. And like, for me, it's like to shoot something in 9 days, it's more about their personality as well. And when I spoke to him straight away, I thought, yeah, this is the guy, because to get a cinematographer to shoot something in 9 days is super difficult if they're a perfectionist and they're controlling. And Gary's got that fine balance of, he can take what you say and make it good quickly, you know, and that's what I needed. And that's what he brought. It was amazing on it. It was just like, he had a good team around him as well. But I would just tell him, like I didn't even have to tell him much. I said, have you seen this, the TV show Mindhunter? Like David Fincher's Mindhunter.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. I said, I want it to look like that. Yeah, that was it. He said, got ya. That's all he said, got ya. I know what we're going to do. All backlighting. Yep, all backlighting. So like, yeah, he just kind of got me. And not only that, he was like super, super nice guy and just a soldier. You know, you could see he's got that soldier's mentality where he's like, he'll ride or die for this, you know, like he's here, he's ready to go to war. Let's do it, you know. I just thought, perfect. He's a perfect guy. Like I said, at this level, when you're shooting something in 9 days, you need to find the right characters as well as talented people. And he was the right fit for every aspect of this film. So yeah, I'll definitely be working with him again. Great guy.
He definitely is. I know the cinematography, the DOPs and all that always seem to, not always, but they tend to go a little bit unnoticed when movies come out, and you very rarely talk about the camera work unless there's something that super impresses you. And the scene at the party when sort of you go up to the bottom of the stairs and the ribbon, and then the person walks up the stairs. I was kind of just sitting there like, this looks amazing. Like, it just looked gorgeous, that whole little section there. And then, of course, you get the bit later on when Chris is in the car, which I just loved that performance right there. Good.
He was cameraman as well. And, like, he's no spring chicken. He's like over 50. And he was more fitter than all of us. You know, He's carrying around a big red cam the whole shoot, you know. And the poor guy, he had to sleep on a sofa a lot of the nights as well. You know, my DP didn't even get a bed because all the actors took beds. So it was a bit unfortunate. He ended up getting a bed, but he's a soldier. That's what I love about Gary. He's a soldier. To be like at that age and be fitter than most of the young guys on set while you're carrying this beast of a camera, you've got tripods and you're doing all the camera work yourself. You haven't got a cameraman doing it and you're pointing. You're doing it yourself. You're pulling focus. No, actually, sorry. Paulina was pulling focus, but sometimes he was pulling focus, like in the bathroom, he had to do it himself. But yeah, awesome guy, man. Awesome guy. But he also works with Andre Govier a lot. I think those two are like a dream team. Andre Govier, he's really great at lighting. He brought his Arri lights on set, and yeah, those two always work together. So he gets really good results. But yeah, our lighting technician though, also Sebastian, he was great. He was a perfectionist, so I think he helped Gary a lot. You know, Gary would be like, right, Gary had more the idea that this is 9 days, let's do it, bam, 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 which is great. But then Sebastian was like, well, wait a minute, one more light, you know, let's just get one more. And that was great to have. It was that contrast of, come on, Sebastian, finish. But he was doing it, he was touching it up, which was great. We needed that. So yeah, good balance, good balance.
Well, I mentioned it a couple of times there about the whole scene in the car. How did you get Chris to that point with all the what's going on and everything? And sort of when he starts losing his. Again, I don't want to do spoilers, but when he starts losing his shit in the car, how did you get him there, or is Chris just able to tune in and do it?
With Chris, he's like, you don't have to tell him much, you know. He'll tell you to shut up, you know, because he's concentrating. He'll be like, I've got it. Just leave me alone. You're like, okay, cool. That's it with Chris. You just leave him alone, leave him to it. He gets it. He knows what the scene's about. He knows what he has to deliver. Those are the actors I love to work with. I like actors who know what they got to do, and they do it for themselves and their character. Because at the end of the day, I'm a director. I'm here to tell you whether it looks good or not.
Yeah.
You're an actor. You're here to show me what the character's doing at that time, you know? So yeah, he pulled it off, but he was definitely worried about it for a while. I remember the whole day he was like, man, that scene. He was like trying to get there, you know? And it took him a long time, most of the day, to get there. When we finally got to that scene, I think he was like, in fact, I think the whole week he was getting there. I think he kept bringing it up, like that scene, Pete, that scene, like, you know. So I think he was prepping himself the whole week. And when he finally got there, I think he used a lot of visualizing techniques of his own son. He told me, you know, I'm just going to think about my boy. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it because this is the situation. And I think that's how he got there. I don't know his exact process, but
yeah,
it was amazing.
He kind of blew my mind in that scene, like it. And I think it's because as well, what you were saying earlier about how detached the character is throughout the movie, and he is the comic relief, and he is the sort of, you know, there's a lot of dark things going on, but we're going to lighten the mood here, and then that happens, and you realize, oh, okay, yeah, it's a great performance. I absolutely loved it. The movie's been out since January the 15th, I believe. It came out on Amazon Prime and everything like that.
Yeah.
Have you had much feedback from it, and how are people taking to it?
Yeah, I've had good feedback, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be negative feedback, but for the most part, it's good. It's just a strange time we're living in right now. Like, I didn't intend for it, but there's a division politically, isn't there? Like,
yeah.
Like, for some reason in 2020, everybody started talking about child trafficking. Like, I don't know what happened. It just blew up on the internet.
Yeah.
And it was mostly Republican supporters in the US. And they started accusing a lot of Democratic supporters of being child traffickers. And it just became so strange. And like, so it's almost, as the film got released, it's odd because that division lies within the film. If you watch it, for some reason you might consider it, oh, this is a Republican film or something, but it's not. We were talking about child trafficking way before politics got involved. You know, it does happen. It's always happened. Like, I was talking about it from 2013 with Who Needs Enemies. Like, I have a theory, actually, a conspiracy theory, that it was becoming a forefront conversation with the Epstein thing.
Yes.
And ever since that happened, it's somehow become politically driven. And maybe that's the narrative that's been spun onto it. So people stop talking about it, or people stop taking it seriously. Because it's a strange thing now, like, if you talk about child trafficking, it's considered almost a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
You know? It's like there are extremes of what people are talking about. Like, they're saying like all sorts of strange child trafficking things, and you know, they're blaming certain political leaders for being involved. Like, forget all that. Child trafficking can't be a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. It happens. You know, but for some reason it's being pushed into that category. And that's what's odd today. And for me, that's got my conspiracy mind going like, well, that's convenient. You know, it's shut everyone up about it easily.
Yeah.
And like Facebook won't let you post about it and things like this. And very strange what's going on. So when people watch this film, that division still is involved. Like if for example a Republican watches it, they're gonna say they loved it because it's real and it's true and this is what happens. But if a Democrat kind of person watches it, they will say, "Oh, this is some nonsense." And so I'm like caught in the middle of this division, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not politically motivated at all. I'm just discussing a subject that does happen." And it's so I hope there are people that watch it without a political agenda. You know, this film doesn't hold a political view. It's not a political film at all. It does involve a member of politics, but it's not. It doesn't give any inkling to a wing, or it's not like that. At the end of the day, I wanted to show that we talk about child trafficking in lower class societies, but it also happens in middle class to upper class. I'm not trying to go into the elite stuff because that's where all the conspiracy theory seems to be. But even in the middle class sector, there's a lot of child trafficking going on. So I wanted to kind of bring that up and say, well, obviously the Maddie McCann case was, kind of how that came to the forefront, because that's a middle class family and whatnot. And for that subject matter to be brought to that case, I'm not saying that case had anything to do with child trafficking. I'm saying a public response to it brought that subject matter to the case. And everybody started saying that this is a child trafficking case. And a lot of people still do. Which for me piqued my interest because that does happen. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens in life. If you think about it, everything happens. There's child trafficking in lower classes, middle class, upper classes. To say there isn't is it's kind of ignorant. It exists, so we've got to discuss it. We've got to bring it out to the forefront and try and leave your political views to one side, and let's just discuss this as a reality that is happening. I'm very much a results person. Like, I don't really get into the details. I just look at the final outcome. And right now, the final outcome is I can't post about this as much as I used to because it gets shut down as a political conspiracy theory. Like, we've also like had Amazon basically in the UK and the US. They've actually put it through to content review. That's why it hasn't been released yet in the UK and the US on Amazon.
All right.
Which is really strange because it's on Amazon in Romania. So it's obviously not a quality issue. It's maybe
content,
the political side of things, or maybe the fact that it is closely, it's symbolizing a real life case. I don't know. Whatever it is though, but I've noticed that it's not a subject we can discuss easily anymore.
No.
It's being more and more censored and gagged. That to me, that kind of stinks. There's something going on there which isn't good, and who knows where that's coming from. Why has this suddenly become a political subject? Why are we using it as a political weapon? Who's made that happen, and how has it got to this stage? Where's, can we get back to reality, please, and understand that this is happening, and this happens in real life, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. It's happening.
Yeah.
And like, a child doesn't have a political agenda. Do you know what I mean?
But one of the questions that I do want to ask you is, obviously, this is lower end of the scale movie. You've shot it in 9 days. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's you've got it out there, and you obviously you're having a little bit of issues with it now that it's out, kind of thing. What advice would you maybe give to an aspiring young filmmaker who wants to come into the game, into the industry, and sort of make their mark? Is there any sort of advice you could give them?
I would say the screenplay is everything. The script is everything. Don't try and rush past that. Don't try and just get to making a film. I know a lot of people say just get out there and shoot something. What they mean is get out there and shoot a good script. So make sure you write a good script, because everything it's the core, it's the energy, it's the nucleus. If you got a good script, actors will like it, producers will like it, crew members will like it, and you'll start generating interest around that. And once that starts happening, the wheels start turning. Then you're on the road to actually making a film. So yeah. Also, don't cross the line too much with controversial subject matter. Play it safe. Don't be like me. I'm a cautionary tale. Nah, like I am a risk taker. I'm very risky, and I knew it would be like this, and I wanted to be like this at this level. But for a young filmmaker, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you know, consider the market you're going to make a film for. That's what we've done with Who Needs Enemies, bit of a British gangster film, and you know, when you consider your market, you get your distributor behind you, you know, because the distributor just wants a good front cover. It's a good script, have a good market to attack. Yeah, and just do it, have fun. The key to filmmaking is having fun. I know it sounds cliche, but it is. You meet cool people, you meet good friends. That's what it's about at the end of the day. If it's about the money, then just don't bother. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to make money, not early on.
We'll start wrapping out with obviously there's not a lot going on right now because of the world's current situation, which I hope you're keeping okay through all this because it's been a mad testing time for everyone. But
Yeah.
on the other side of it, have you written anything that you're potentially gonna start shooting on the other side, or where does Peter go next?
Do you know what? I do have a project. I have two projects actually. One is bigger budget. It's like we can't shoot on a micro budget. It's called Brutal Nature. It's kind of like it's a bit of a gangster film, but it's like a rural gangster film, like, you know, countryside gangsters, which is cool. I love that.
Nice.
I love that kind of concept. And I've got another film called Eden, which is more of like a bit sci-fi / horror. So down your street, definitely.
Definitely.
I think I'm going to go with Eden because it's more lower budget and I can make it sort of like in one location. But the scenery is going to be amazing. You know, I visualized sort of White Cliffs of Dover as a backdrop, and it's going to look amazing. So I'm going to work on that. I've already got 40 pages written. I've been working on it for like years, but never been good enough to finish it. I think I'm finally getting to that point where I'm actually decent enough to finish it. So I'm going to finish that. And then just try and get some finance for it. Try and get out there, and I doubt we'll get it this year. If we can get the finance this year, we'll probably get shooting by 2022. Maybe we'll get shooting this year, but I think the scenery and the backdrop suits more summertime shoot anyway. So, but God knows what the hell's going to happen with the world. We might not even be here by then. The apocalypse could land, and who
Don't say that.
knows?
Don't
Alien
say that.
invasion could come or something. I just wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's been a funny old time. It has been a funny old time, and one of the questions I did want to ask, and I kind of glossed over it a little bit earlier, was the whole trying to release this during all this kind of madness that's going on. But I don't know if that has helped or has it hindered anything or.
I mean, definitely hindered the film festival release
Yeah.
because film festivals just shut down basically, and a lot of them went online. And I did apply for festivals, but the film was unfinished, so I only showed them an unfinished version. It wasn't the greatest version, but it did get in some good festivals. But then when I heard they were going online and stuff, I kind of pulled out. I just didn't want to do like an online premiere and theatrical release as well. Obviously, we would have considered a sort of limited release, try to get something out there on, you know, maybe at least 2-3 screens and just get people in there. But again, couldn't do that. So yeah, really at this point, all you really have is VOD. Even DVDs are precarious right now. Like, what can you buy in stores? You know, it's really just VOD releases for everyone right now, even the Hollywood blockbusters.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. I mean, look at what Warner Brothers is doing. They're putting everything straight to streaming, and
we saved a lot of money because producing DCPs and whatnot, and you know, getting the you know, the ratings sorted and everything like that. It costs a lot of money, but it's worth it sometimes. You get a lot of publicity from doing cinematic releases, and the prestige of it is just second to none. It's brilliant. But yeah, just go into the cinema, I miss, definitely.
Definitely, man. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do in this podcast, in this video, if anybody's watching on the YouTube or listening on the podcast, please do find The Lost, go out and watch it. Let people know what you think of it. Try and get the word out. It's an important movie that, as Peter says, people aren't talking about. So I want to ask you to let people know where they can find yourself on the social medias or whatnot, unless you don't want them to find you, that's fine. Where they can find your works, your projects, and why they should see The Lost.
You can find our production company, redgorillafilms.com, thelostfilm.com. You'll find everything about that, The Lost on that. It's out now on Apple TV/iTunes, and other VOD platforms. It's on Amazon Prime in Romania. You'll find it. So yeah, me personally, don't worry about me. You'll find Red Gorilla Films on Twitter and Instagram. I like to have that shield.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people following my private life, but yeah, I work through Red Gorilla Films. I am essentially Red Gorilla Films, so definitely you'll find us on Instagram, official RG Films, Twitter, official RGF, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And why should people see The Lost?
Do you know what? It's from a filmmaker's point of view, watch it, because you know what? You're going to watch a film that got made in 9 days. That's quite a feat, yeah. And just see, how well we done. But just from a normal casual audience's point of view, it is a good film. It's easy to watch, even though it's hard subject matter. It will take you on the journey pretty easily, and it will make you think by the end of it, but in a good way. A lot of people say, I'm still thinking about this film, and that's a good thing,
Definitely.
So you will see something you haven't really seen before, which is great. Some great acting, great cast. They kill it. It's just a good film. It's something different. Like I said, if you don't want to watch like a superhero movie, you want something a little more serious, watch The Lost. It's really good.
I'm going to round that up with that, and I just want to say, Peter, thank you very much for coming on the show. This has been a fantastic little chat. I've been looking forward to this one because back in the day when Chris first told me he was kind of getting involved with The Lost and what it was about, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to see this. And then the trailer came out, and the trailer looked as good as it did. It's like, yep, definitely seeing this. And then watch the movie, and you can check out my review. It's on the 365 Flicks podcast website. It's on there. It's also on nerdly.co.uk, the official home of this podcast. Please do check it out. It's a great flick. It's a great flick.
You'll see me on Eden. We'll talk about that one. I'm sure that will get your juices flowing even more. I
did see was it a poster? When you mentioned it there before, you put a poster up saying something like, is this the next movie or something? Yeah. Straight away I was kind of like, that looks very, what was the Dane DeHaan one that everybody... Valerian. It looked very Valerian-like, and I was kind of like, yeah, I'm up for that.
Hopefully it'll be good. I'll definitely get you involved, man, and maybe get you down on the set as well, and we do a couple of behind-the-scenes things. That would be cool.
I do love a set visit. I do. I very much love them. So thank you again to Peter Stylianou for coming on the show. You were an absolute dream to speak to. Open, honest, really frank, kind of just got into it. We really got a chance to kind of go through what it takes to actually make a movie like this. I think some people think movie making at this level is super easy because, as the man says, you can pick up a DSLR or you can pick up your iPhone and you can just go out and make a movie. But there's way more to it. There's way more to it. And I hope anyone watching this who is an aspiring filmmaker takes that on board, but does take something away from it, because it's definitely a rewarding experience from what I can tell from speaking to everybody we've spoken to, and we will continue to speak to. It's just great that these movies are getting made, and especially one of this subject. It's really not an easy film to watch, but it's a film that needs to be seen, needs to be spoken about, and it's got to be out there. So please do check it out on the Amazon, on iTunes. I believe you can get it on iTunes. Anywhere that you can find this movie, do check it out. Give it a fantastic review as well. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, there's going to be a lot of haters because it kind of touches on the whole McCann thing. Just, that's neither here nor there. That is not the conversation this director, his producers, that is not the conversation they want to be having. There's a conversation to be had, not about specifically that, but there is a conversation to be had that is not getting spoken about, and that is the whole child trafficking aspect of this movie. Let's talk about it. Let's put it back, because people seem to be trying to squeeze it into this little box. You'll have heard us in the interview, and since the interview I have kind of read a little bit, and I've been deep diving into things a bit, and yeah, there is something going on, and it sucks. It stinks. So yeah, we will come back to that. But yeah, we've got loads of stuff coming up. Again, please do check out nerdly.co.uk. Let them know that we sent you. You found us on the YouTube. You found us on the World Wide Web. And we will speak to you like a bunch of amazing, cool dudes who found our website, because we are the best website out there. I've got some fantastic interviews coming up. I've got some great episodes coming up. I'm going to be diving into some more review episodes. Jason from History of Bad Ideas. Yeah. That little shit has committed himself to a Snyder Cut review of the Justice League. Now, something you're going to find out about me, we've not really delved into it as of yet, but something you will find out about me is that I love me some Batman. I love me some Batman. So thank you again, Undone. Links below. Check them out. They are awesome. Go and see them. I'll be back for another episode very, very soon. We have more interviews coming. I'm rambling, so I'm going to go.